Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Barely Bookish podcast. Today, we are going to be talking about episode 2 of the Interview with the Vampire TV show, and I am joined again by Candace.
Hi.
I am excited.
Okay.
It's so let's just dive right into it, okay? So we find out that Louis's assistant views Louis as a god. His assistant Rashid. So that's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Um, So then we get flashback right back into the story. So we get to see Lestat wheeling the priest in the cemetery while Louis is like actively dying and, losing his humanity.
Yeah.
And it's very dramatic and it's very funny.
It's very dramatic, and Lestat thinks it is hilarious.
Yeah.
Lestat's like, you're basically a baby who's crying and whining about stuff. Can you please die a little bit quieter? I'm trying to bury someone clandestinely in this fucking graveyard.
So funny.
So rude.
Funny. Yeah, it's
Just
so
the
good.
rudest.
And then Lestat's like, okay, little baby vampire, I'm gonna take you and we're gonna go hunt your first mortal. It's gonna be great.
Mm-hmm.
And so they go to this bar, and there's like this man that just wants to sell tractors. He's like, "Yep, that's the one we're hunting." And he's like,
No one will miss him. He's boring.
So bad.
Look at how boring he is. No one will miss
Yeah.
him. We're doing his family a favor, honestly.
Mm-hmm. And like Louis wants to go hunt the hot sailor boy, and Lestat's like, "Yeah, do not do that. Everyone will miss him.
Yep.
It's a terrible idea."
Yep. Not until you can control your hunger and figure out how to leave people alive can you sample the sexier delights.
Mm-hmm.
Louis is like, but I want sexy delights now. Which, understandable. Yeah. I too would want sexy delights now, but sometimes you just need a tractor salesman.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you need that stable man.
That's it. That's it. You need a 9 to 5 before you can do freelance. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Watching Lestat being like, "Louis, you have to stay here," and Louis is like, "No," and Lestat's like, "Okay, go outside then. Fine, whatever." And he just like walks out in the sunshine, sprints back in, and Lestat's like, "I told you not to go outside." Louis is like, "You didn't tell me why though."
Lestat's like, all you need is what I tell you. Stop being this way. Like, the power struggle. Louis like, I'm gonna do whatever the fuck I want. Lestat's like, God, knock yourself out. Like,
yeah, whatever.
I enjoy how, like, more and more in every episode, I enjoy how, I think his name is Sam Reed, how he plays Lestat. Every episode just, like, is better and better, because he's passive-aggressively ambivalent. Like, he's like, he obviously loves Louis. Like, it's clear he's, like, super obsessed with him and, like, can't get enough. But at the same time, is just, like, do what you want, man.
Yeah.
I'll say I told you so. I'm not above it. I'm not above throwing it right in your face. So go ahead. Knock yourself out.
Literally. And then Lestat sleeping in his coffin naked when like Louis tries to get in there fully clothed made me laugh a lot.
Listen, not a mistake.
Nope. He's not like, oh, you know. I like that in this though, they don't just like go unconscious, like they're actively trying to go to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I like that little change. Yeah. So funny.
Yeah.
So then Louis starts learning how to read minds. They get this cute little montage. I'm glad Louis was less annoying so far.
Me too.
Yeah.
This Louis is much less sad and is far more empowered, which I really enjoy. I didn't expect that to kind of be a thing in this because he's Black. So I was like, he's less empowered, like, in reality, right? But I like how they kind of turn that on its head. My one complaint I think about this episode is like the way that they kind of talk about the frustrations that Louis experiences in New Orleans and how that ladders up to being a vampire and being safe as a vampire. Because as a Black person, right, you're getting people fucking with you all the time. You're getting people shit talking you all the time. You're getting people handing you bullshit all the time. So like as all of this is going on, in my mind, I'm like, yo, a black vampire in racist Louisiana, everybody would be dead, right? Like everybody that slighted
Facts.
me would be dead.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
you're about to say N word? Doesn't matter which one. If it's in my direction, dead. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
the control that Louis has to display is exhausting. And I can
Yeah.
understand why he very quickly gets sick of violence. Like it takes a minute for him to really, really get sick of it, but like I can understand why. And I also understand why Lestat kind of also prescribes caution to him.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's very easy to get angry. You know what I mean? And just like destroy things, right? Destroy people. People are brittle and fragile. Like it's easy to just knock them out.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I would also be super pissed off. Like,
Yeah,
I couldn't imagine. Like,
all the
the
time.
control he is exerting, I'm like, mm-mm. Because we know if roles were reversed and people were being this way specifically to Lestat, he'd be like, yeah, murder. Kill them all. I don't care.
Absolutely. And I think that like that's one place where I do kind of see Lestat trying to make sure Louis doesn't make the same mistakes that he's made,
Mm-hmm.
because he's trying to make sure that they can continue their life together. And
Yeah.
that's one of the changes that I very much support. Again, like we kind of talked about this last time, but um, the fact that this version of Lestat is so much less concerned about wealth, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Book Lestat is concerned largely because he has his dad in tow, which very much changes how sincere he is to Louis, right? Like we know as we read the book that he actually is very, serious about how he feels about Louis, right? Like he does care about Louis in his way. He's just deeply selfish, right? Like he's just a deeply selfish, terrible person.
Yeah.
But like I feel like this version kind of allows more breathing room for both characters, because Lestat is like, listen, like what we have is good. It's not
Mm-hmm.
just, oh, we've got riches. It's we can have riches anywhere, but right now this is where you want to be, and I'm here because you want to be here. So while we're here, let's not fuck it up, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I'd much rather kind of see that push and pull. At the end of the day, Lestat is ruthless regardless of what decisions he makes, right? With the priest, he like completely drops his facade of being this like, more upper crust
Fancy
gentleman
boy.
vampire,
Mm-hmm.
fancy boy, right? That goes away when he murders the priest and when he's burying the priest, right? His reactions get very kind of aggressive, right? He shows his
Yeah.
aggressive side, kind of like he gave a glimpse of at that dinner with Louis' family, right? That like glimpse of his aggression and his anger that he kind of keeps very tightly wound inside of himself. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that that's something that the book doesn't really go into, but I very much like the change that they're making in the show.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Like he's not as
And
mindless.
yeah. Yeah. I think they really fleshed out all the characters for this show, which I love.
Mm-hmm.
So we do get the news that Grace, Louis' sister, is pregnant and she's having twins because Louis can hear the two heartbeats.
Yeah, that was wild.
That was pretty good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, then we get Louis killing the race's attorney while he's peeing. So that's pretty cool.
Yep.
And then Lestat in his coffin opening it and being like, I don't like going to bed angry. So funny. So
Yeah,
funny.
I'm a big fan of, and I think we already touched upon this, but I'm going to keep saying it. Big fan of how gay this show is. Very big
Yeah.
fan. Like they argue like a
So
little
good.
couple, like a little old couple. Like
Yep.
Louis like, well, I don't care if you're angry. Lestat's like, wait, we should just talk it out. I'm here to
Yeah.
listen when you're ready to talk. Like I was watching it like this feels intimate. Should I look away? I'm not gonna.
Yeah. Oh my god, it's so good. And I love like Louis not opening his coffin right away and he's like,
Mm-hmm.
"Louis, can we just like talk for a little bit? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." And Louis like opens his coffin. Well, if you would, like,
He's
so
like, did you
good.
hear how he was talking to me? He was disrespectful. Unless that's like, I can't pretend to know what it's like to be in your skin, Lou. All right, but
Yeah.
you have ultimate power, and we need to control ourselves. And I'm like, this is beautiful. I love this.
Yeah.
More of this, please. I know it can't
Yep.
stay like this forever, but if I could have just one more episode.
Mhm. So good. So time is starting to mean nothing to Louis, and he's realizing he's like forgetting to visit his family for like months
Mm-hmm.
on end. He's
Months
like,
and
oh my
months on end.
god.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
like a year and a half goes by, right? Because he doesn't even meet the first child that his sister has,
He
and by
doesn't
the
no, he
time he
doesn't meet the
gets to the
twins. It's
oh,
the
that's what
twins
it
he
is. He
doesn't
doesn't meet the
meet.
twins. It's the baby that she's pregnant with the second time that he meets.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
because
it's
it's
his
been so long.
nephew.
Hmm.
Yeah. And he's like really struggling to not eat this baby to the point where he ends up leaving the baby on the floor and like running out of the house.
Dude, like the least he could have done is put the baby on the sofa, man. And I get it. The baby's on the floor so it doesn't roll off the sofa, right?
Mm-hmm.
Totally get it. Totally understand. But at the same time, it's not a good look, bro. Like it's not a good look. And like why he wouldn't have exercised more caution. Like it
Mm-hmm.
shows that he's a fledgling, right? It shows that he's still coming into his vampire powers. He's still a baby, right? He's a little baby vampire. He doesn't know what he's doing. But like, you know what? Let me not say that. I can't even judge him. I'm a grown ass adult and I still go to Target when I'm hungry. And that's the worst possible thing you could do. I'm over here like, why would you go see your baby when you're hungry? And I'm like, you go grocery shopping when you're hungry all the time and buy a bunch of
Mm-hmm.
shit you don't need. So you need to shut up and go mind your own business, Candace. Because, can't mind this vampire's business. You do the same thing all the time. The only difference is that it doesn't result in me eating a baby. It results in me buying 7 bags of chips.
See, like if I don't eat, I will like start to feel like really, really faint and I
Mm-hmm.
can't move or function. So I finally like broke the habit of like pushing myself.
Mm-hmm.
So like now the second I'm hungry, I'm like, I'm gonna stop everything I'm doing, everything you're doing. We're all gonna find food right now. I don't care what was happening. Food priority. Like
That's so responsible.
yeah, I listen, when I'm hungry, it's like a one track mind, you know? Like I
Mm-hmm.
will literally go get takeout, eat in my car, and then go grocery shopping if my entire goal is to go grocery shopping. Because I'm like, the second I'm in the store, I'm so hungry that I like cannot function. Like my
Yeah.
brain's just like food, food, food in my mouth, please now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
Like,
everything looks delicious, even trash.
yeah.
Yeah.
My
So
heart
that's what I'm
friend.
saying. Louis needs to take a page out of your book. He shouldn't have gone over there like that. He
Yeah.
should have made sure that he had had a snack so that it wouldn't have been a
Hmm.
problem.
Hmm.
Because now he's all fucked up about it, right? Like
Yeah.
that's when you know that like Louis is different because he like comes home and he's like fucked up about it. He's like, yo, I almost ate a baby today. I'm fucked up. I'm an aberration. Someone throw
Hmm.
me in the grave. Put dirt on top of me. Forget about me. Take me somewhere. Get me out of my misery. Lestat's
Yep.
like, why would you go over there?
Yeah. So that's like that
Like
was
no sympathy. He's
dumb.
like, why would you go over there? Like you need to leave them.
Yeah.
Like you need to leave them alone. You can't be around
Yeah.
your family anymore. What are you doing? Why would you go over there? Like, and Louis like, because I miss them. It's
the
really honestly
stats
kind of beautiful, but also very sad.
The stats like basically Louis was starving and went into a cheesecake factory, and the
Yes,
stats like, why would you do that? He's like, you're
I don't
lactose
understand
intolerant. Why would you go to the cheesecake section?
because I was hungry. That's that.
Yeah.
That's like I tried talking to you about this. You don't listen to anybody but yourself. So
That's me though when I'm starving, is I will forget that I have food allergies and I'll be like, yes, a large pizza, garlic crust, whatever. That's fine.
give me
Like
all of the stuff I can't have.
knowing I can't have gluten or garlic or onions, I'm like, yeah, just get a large cheese pizza, slather it in garlic crust. I don't know. Let's order from Domino's, whatever.
It'll work itself out.
Yeah, it'll be fine. I'll figure it out. And then I'm like actively like dying later, but whatever.
Yeah, I feel
So,
like the fact that they fix how shitty Lestat is.
mhm,
I guess I shouldn't say fix. They temper how shitty
mhm,
Lestat is. Instead of him just being like an absolute fucking drag for 100 pages, instead he's like he shows little bits of being a shithead here and there, and they start to
yeah,
pile up, which I think is much more realistic. I feel like
mhm,
nobody is just awful right out of the gate, so I like that it fits in with the whole. This is me telling a more nuanced story
mhm,
rather than the feelings that I was pouring out of me in our 76 interview, right? This is me
yeah,
exercising caution, trying to give you, a better take on what things actually were like, right? For me,
mhm,
which I, again, like as we discussed last time, like I really enjoy that. And I like that they're kind of drawing you into Lestat, so almost as if you can kind of understand how Louis is understanding Lestat as well, because like that's the thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
As a reader, you want to like be enraptured by these vampires, right? Like you want to be taken in, you want to be like, ooh la la, vampires, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like you want that vibe, and I feel like the show really allows you to have it. You don't have to make a ton of excuses for why Lestat is sexy in this show. You know he's
Yeah.
trash, right? He's trash. He puts it on Front Street. I'm kind of trash, right? He doesn't hide it. But he does. It is a very kind of slow burn on how
Mm-hmm.
terrible he is, which I like. That you get some time with him where he's not
Yeah.
just a complete madman.
I like it more that he's possessive rather than he's
Yes,
an asshole. You
yes,
know.
because it feels like he actually cares
Mm-hmm.
rather than this is just a means to an end, which is how it feels in the book.
Yeah. So then we get Lestat flirting with Louis, and he's like, "Why don't we go on a vacation? Why don't we go on a little romantic honeymoon?" He's like, "Just me and you, margaritas, a beach, Bloody Marys, hold the Mary, Um, they're like, "What if?" He's like, "What if we just did that? Nighttime moonlit walks by the beach." And Louis is like, "I mean, maybe we could do that, actually,
I might like it.
maybe." Yeah. And then they go on to this like little opera house, and then we get Lestat's need for perfection.
Yeah,
So basically there's this guy doing vocals, and Lestat's like
this poor man.
takes his blood, bites his finger, takes his blood, and dabs all the points where he missed the note.
Like live, like the
Yeah.
opera is going on, and they're
Mm-hmm.
showing you the opera,
Mm-hmm.
and Lestat is like, no, no, no,
Yeah.
fucking no, right? Like getting angrier and angrier and angrier until like his eyes are like blazing in his skull. Like you can tell this dude has
Mm-hmm.
just had it. And like it's funny because I sing, so I'm
Yeah.
watching it and I'm hearing this man and I'm hearing every note he's fucking up, and I'm like, they paid for this? Like I immediately was like, what is this? And
Yeah.
then Lestat was like touching his page, and I was like, oh no, are you like that? Is this who you are? Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Wait, this show is making it seem like Lestat is being too rash and being upset that this man can't hit any of the notes. Okay,
See,
well,
I don't know
you're
anything
just a
about
big
music,
giant
so
asshole.
yeah, I was like, I'll have to take Lestat's word for it, because to me it sounds fine. I have no idea what
No,
you're talking about.
it was terrible because the thing that made it worse is that like sometimes you can fail forward, right? If you're a singer,
Yeah.
like you can start. I've heard Christina Aguilera do it. I've heard Beyonce do it. Right, some of the best like vocalists in our country I've
Mm-hmm.
heard do this thing where
Mm-hmm.
basically you start your trill, right, your vocal run,
Mm-hmm.
and you might hit the wrong note somewhere in there,
Mm-hmm.
but like as long as you end on the right note, you're good, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can kind of just like if you want your voice to do a C and it does like a C flat, right? And
Mm-hmm.
that's not very good for you. You can try to put like a B flat in there too, so that it kind of sounds jazzy. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
you can fudge that you didn't fuck up that note because it was totally
Mm-hmm.
on purpose. See, look, and then I end on the C. Boom. Look at that.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So nice, right? And you can
Mm-hmm.
pretend. You can get around it. But this guy was just like singing the wrong thing. Like all of it was wrong. Like he started singing and some notes were good. You could especially tell contrasted with the soprano
Mm-hmm.
because her vocals were pristine. Her vocals were beautiful. And that's really what he was there to see. They went to go see the soprano, and the tenor who was singing with her was just not as good as she was, right? And it became more and
Mm-hmm.
more apparent because they're trying to sing harmony, and the harmony was discordant. And you can kind of see like the look on the soprano's face. Like she's not cracking, but you can kind of see like her eye twitch a little bit. Like, this is not good. Like she knows that
Yeah.
it's wrong. Like, and this guy doesn't look like he knows it's wrong. He's like up there fucking singing power vocals and shit, right? Like he's doing
Yeah.
this like his best karaoke. And it's bad. And Louis is like, so I really liked this scene because I feel like there's a lot of times this show, well, not even this show, I guess this series in general, right? And pop
Mm-hmm.
culture and media in general, they gloss over the true ramifications of racism.
Mm-hmm.
And in this show, right, specifically, you have a white man who is in love with a black man, and he understands that their plights are different. He understands that Louis, the way Louis is treated and accepted and welcomed into the world, is very different than the way that he is. He's
Mhm.
open about that and about his knowledge and understanding of Louis' struggles. However, right, Lestat, when they walk into the opera house, even though he has told him, "Hey, we're going to do something really nice together. It's a little vacation just for me and you." What
Mhm.
actually happens is when they walk into the opera house, Louis has to stay 3 steps behind him because he has to pretend that he's his butler. Like he has to pretend that he's like his
Yeah.
valet or whatever. Like he's not there as like an equal. He's there as like an attendee, a serving man. So like Lestat's passing him his coat and his hat and his cane. He has to be deferent. Like Louis can't look up. He has to kind of keep his eyes downcast because people assume that he's there as like a serving boy, right?
Mhm.
Other people are kind of talking down to him a little bit as well, kind of casting their eyes over at him, even though he's a wealthy person who owns like a chunk of the French Quarter, right? I mean, a chunk of Bourbon Street for himself, right? He's wealthy, he has capital, right? He's somebody that should have status and respect, but in gear, he's just as common as any other black person, right? And
Mhm.
that's not something that he seems to take issue with. It's more that Lestat seems so fine with it. Like he moves to the opera house like he's supposed to be there and beckons slowly, come on. Like
Yeah.
it's bad, right? It's really bad. So they sit down in the box seats. So by the time Lestat is mad, right, and he's like getting all fucking in his feelings about this music, Louis is like,
Mhm.
I don't care, right? He has already checked out. He's already
Mhm.
annoyed. He's already irritated. He's already like, who cares? Like, who
Yeah.
cares? I do not care. Even not even one bit do I fucking care about this. Um, and Lestat is just like, no, but like, Louis, aren't you paying attention? Louis like, no, I don't care. Like he's looking off to
Yeah.
the side. He's like looking at Lestat getting all jazzed. He's like, I don't care about this. So I love how multifaceted the scene is. Like both of those men are in their own heads and their own thoughts and their own worlds, and they couldn't be worrying
Mhm.
about more different things. And I feel like that's really kind of a moment where Louis is like, so it's not really about me. Like it's
Yeah.
not really about my comfort. It's not really about how you feel about me. Like you're here right
Mhm.
now and you've forgotten all about me. You haven't even noticed I'm upset. You haven't even like tried to calm me or like
Mhm.
take heed of where my head is or how I'm feeling, right? You're just like in your own world. And then to invite the tenor back to their house. I feel like
Yep.
Louis is just like, fuck it, man. Like fuck this. Fuck this.
Louis basically at that point where like you're really mad, like you're really pissed off, and you're scrolling through like TikToks on your phone, trying to make sure that your
Mm-hmm.
partner can just read your mind, you
Yep.
know, and they're just
Yep.
not paying attention.
Yep. I am upset. Scroll,
Yeah,
scroll. You
the
know,
anger
like
scroll, you know.
hello. And honestly, again, I did not disagree with Lestat. The tenor was awful. Someone should have
Yeah,
done him the solid of telling him he was awful so that a vampire wouldn't have come and found him. Right? Somebody
obviously.
could have done him a major solid and they chose not to. So,
Lestat making him sing and point out every time
Virgil.
he
Oh my
missed,
god.
so funny.
The
Like I,
poor
of
baby.
course, I still didn't understand what's going on because I can't tell the difference
Mm-hmm.
personally. Where they're like, "Oh, line up your vocal range to this key on a piano." Like that means nothing to me. I don't understand how
Yeah.
those line up. But
Oh
like,
my god.
I had so much joy watching this scene still.
Yo, as a singer,
So
it was
good.
brutal for me because I've been that person and I've
Hmm.
seen that happen to others. So
Yeah.
someone will play like a note on a
Yeah.
piano, and you're supposed to go ah to hit the note. So
Yeah.
Lestat is like, what is this note supposed to be? And the boy is like trying to figure it out. This guy is like, this one, and Lestat's like, no, it's this one, it's this one
Hmm.
down here. No, what about
Hmm.
this note? Every single note wrong. This boy is tone deaf.
Yeah.
That's what that means. He's tone deaf. He can sing, right? He can
Hmm.
sing, but he has no tone. Like his ear doesn't match his brain. So when you play an instrument or you
Hmm.
sing, there's something called intonation.
Hmm.
Intonation is being able to uh, kind of understand where you're going next, right?
Hmm.
So when you're playing a song and you're like reading music, instead of playing each note individually, the ability to play through the song, even a song you've never heard, just by reading the notes and how they're laid out and what the tempo is and all that stuff, right? It says, like it'll give you like speeds as well,
Hmm.
or like the way you're supposed to play it. So, like, for example, like the Barber of Seville, right? A lot of that music is supposed to be played braggadocio, which is like big and bold and like pompous and bump, ba bump, ba bum, very bouncy, right?
Hmm.
So all of that is what goes into an opera. It tells you how to sing it, it tells you the words, and it shows you the notes, right? So that you can
Mm-hmm.
follow the notes along and sing whatever melody is required of you while the orchestra is performing the backup music,
Mm-hmm.
like the score. So when Lestat is doing that, that's basically basic shit. Like if you go to like a vocal teacher, the vocal coach, that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna go, let's see how high your range is. Can you hit this note? Boop, and they'll like do a note, and then you have to meet that note, right?
Yeah.
But you're supposed to stick to it. That tells you that your pitch and your tone are good. And
Mm-hmm.
intonation is when you know what note is coming next. You can kind of forecast where you need to be so that you can land it.
Yeah.
And when people are tone deaf, it's when they don't know what note comes next, right? Like if somebody is singing a popular song and there's a
Mm-hmm.
note that's wrong, it's because they're tone deaf. They have a hard time figuring out like how to get their vocal to that note in the next like second, right?
I think I
So
just
that's what
figured
he's
out I
doing
might
to
be
him.
tone deaf. I'm not gonna lie to you.
I mean, a lot of people are.
Probably.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of people are. It can be very hard, and still more people, right, might not be completely tone deaf, but they have pitch irregularities. Pitch is
Mm-hmm.
like if you hit a C, right, you can hit a C on the dot. You can hit a C flat, which is going to be
Mm-hmm.
a little under C, or you can hit C sharp, which is going to be a little over C, right? But all of them are in the range of C. None of them are a
Mm-hmm.
D, right, which is under a C, and none of them are a B, which is over a C, right? So
Mm-hmm.
like in that zone is usually good enough, unless you're dealing with something like opera or like where you really have to like be on it, right? Like in popular music, there's a ton of people who are a little bit flat. That's why we have auto tune, right? Auto tune basically takes those moments where you're not quite on the note and just lifts you up a little bit and zhuzhes you into place.
Mm-hmm.
Songs that have a lot of auto tune, the more auto tune, the less amazing the person probably is naturally, right? These days.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but back then there was none of that, obviously. So instead, you had to kind of hit those notes dead on, and that guy was just like not even close. Like he was nowhere in the ballpark. And like his facial expressions, like I think that's why Lestat starts to get very agitated as he's
Mm-hmm.
trying to kind of like make this person understand like what he's doing as he's trying to practice with him. Like he's getting more and more irritated and irate because this guy has no idea what he's doing and yet has this amazing position. And
Yeah.
Lestat's like, I never had a position like this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you've read Vampire Lestat, you know that he has a performance background, right? He traveled with like a performance troupe or something like that for a while, I think. And when he
Mm-hmm.
was living in France, so like he has a voice, right? We see in another scene he plays the piano beautifully. Like he has the skill to do some of this stuff. He just doesn't do it because he's a vampire now, and it'd be really obvious if he did.
Yeah.
So, like this whole scene is so taut. Like it almost feels like a countdown to this guy's death. And like Louis sitting there watching it, like you can see how like antsy he gets. Like he gets anxious the whole time. Like he's in the house, like sitting on the sofa, like his hands folded, like like he knows it's coming. Like he knows that Lestat is
Mm-hmm.
eventually just gonna be like, fuck it, I can't save you. Right? Like
Yeah.
the whole scene is just so gripping. They do a really great job with it. And it's like the first time you really see Lestat like super lose control.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's
Very
it's
intense.
beautiful. It is honestly beautiful. Yeah. So the stat makes this boy super depressed and then just kills him.
I mean, slashes his throat, like he bleeds
Yeah.
out, like it's brutal.
Mm-hmm.
And you can, and I feel like slashing his throat is obviously is symbolic because he's not
Mm-hmm.
good at using his throat and voice.
Yep.
Um, but Lestat barely seems interested in drinking him.
Yeah.
It's
He
just
basically.
it's more of a kill than a feed,
Mm-hmm.
you know. Yeah,
Yep.
he just loses his interest. He's like, slice.
Yep.
So Louis, what'd you think of the opera? Like things are fine. Louis is like, what are we doing here?
Literally. So that was the end of episode 2, and it looks like we have time that we can actually get into episode 3.
Let's do it.
So I'm going to read the first quote I
Wait,
wrote down. Yes.
I have one note. There's an Easter
Okay.
egg in episode 2 that I found.
Okay.
So in the beginning of the episode, I think it's around that time when Daniel is talking to one of the attendees that says, "Oh,
Mm-hmm.
I serve a god" or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Rashid, I think.
he admires one of the paintings
Mm-hmm.
because he's like, "Oh, you have so many paintings and art in here," and the guy is like, "Yeah, Louis likes to collect," and he looks at one of the paintings And he goes, wait a minute, Marius? This is by
Yes.
Marius.
Yeah.
And the kid is like, oh yeah, we have paintings from all over the world. And he kind of just like leaves it alone. They don't really like talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
So like, for anyone who doesn't remember, Marius is the person that made Lestat into a vampire.
Mm-hmm.
And so Louis has Lestat's sire's painting in his home,
Mm-hmm.
which I was like, oh, okay,
Interesting.
this is what we're doing.
Feels like
Good.
a framed photo of your ex's ex, you know?
I love it. I love it. That's next level petty.
Oh yeah,
And
super
I
shady.
deeply enjoy it. I thought that was a very nice touch. Again, little Easter eggs for people who read the books.
Mm-hmm.
And what's funny is that that's actually an Easter egg for people who watched Queen of the Damned as well, because there's
Mm-hmm.
a whole thing in Queen of the Damned about Marius and his paintings. So if you know even a little bit about this Vampire Chronicles universe, it's a
Yeah.
little shout out for you, and I like that.
Amazing.
Anyway, sorry, episode 3.
No, it's fine. I'm glad you brought it up. So we're on to episode 3, and I wrote this quote because I thought it was pretty good. So it said, "Should we walk the night as gods of easily attainable dreams?"
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Juicy. I
Mm-hmm.
love it. Lestat, I think,
Yeah,
is the one that said that.
yeah,
Ugh. So
yeah. I
good.
My first note was, I have no idea what's about to happen, but goddamn, I love this gay polyam drama.
Yup. Yup. So then Louis and Lestat are gonna drink this guy, and Louis just grabs a cat and drinks that instead. And I'm like, this is not better, Louis.
No,
This is
it's
not
not.
better.
It is not. It is not, but he makes do. Lestat is embarrassed.
Yeah. Ugh. And then we got Louis playing all dramatically as they're just like yelling at each other.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty good. Oh, and then we get finally Daniel playing tapes versus the 70s versus
Mm-hmm.
now.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, listen to you roast Lestat. And now you're singing his praises. Are we going to talk about that?
Mm-hmm.
Or what?
Yep.
So, yeah, basically, they throw the tapes in the garbage, and then Louis lights them on fire with his mind.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And
Buck wild.
he also is like, I'm not a fucking idiot, and like
Mm-hmm.
looks at his computer, and he's like, sigh, and deletes the audio files from the computer as well. And in my
Mm-hmm.
head, I'm like, you know, them bitches are in the cloud.
Oh,
Let's be
yeah.
real. They're in the cloud, Louis.
Mm-hmm.
You know they're in the cloud, sir.
Literally. Like, one thing we know is nothing ever leaves the internet.
Yeah.
So then, after all of that housekeeping is taken care of, Louis is like, all right, now we can get back to the call.
Yep.
And he tells Daniel about how he got rats delivered to the back of their home.
Yep.
Like,
Secret rats.
this is New Orleans. You're telling me there isn't just rats?
I
You
mean, there
know?
are, but he can't be out there in his tan suit looking fine as hell hunting for rats.
I guess. But like, it's like living in New York. You kind of just know there's rats.
Yeah, they're just around. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. But you know, they're fancy bougie bitches. I get it.
Yes.
If it were me and I had the money, I would also hire a young person to go catch me some rats. I admit,
Fair.
I would not just do it myself. No rat
Plus,
catching DIY over here.
I just feel like enough people are into some weird kinky shit that you could just find someone. You know?
Absolutely.
Craigslist be like, blood bank needed.
Well, I mean,
Is
that's what
your
he has
thing.
now. That's what he has
Yeah.
now. Because is this the episode where the man comes in and is like, "Do you need anything?" Or is that
Uh,
episode 4?
I don't know. I don't remember if it's now.
That might be episode 4. Because I think episode 3 is where we get the red-haired lady, right? Where Lestat goes out and finds a new woman with
Yeah.
pains.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So there's starting to be like rumors that Louis and Lestat are dating, and everyone's like doesn't seem to be that mad about it, which I think is
Yeah.
funny. They're like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
people are
you and
like,
your boyfriend."
yeah, people are wary about it. Like, what's going on with y'all? But like,
Mm-hmm.
no one outright is like, this is wrong, which I
Yeah.
like. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's I just think it's kind of funny that they're like, you guys literally live together, you know? They're
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, you both are wealthy and rich and can totally afford your own homes, but you're living together, and like, how many beds are there?
Yep. Do you have a cleaning lady we can talk to? Pay
Yeah.
her for your secrets.
Yep. So Louis is finding out that he is being cheated on, and he is not happy. He is actively pissed.
Yo. So Lestat's like, I'm gonna go out. And Louis like,
Mm-hmm.
fine. And then he like goes to the club and sees the way this like ginger haired girl is looking at Lestat, and he's like, absolutely not.
Mm-hmm.
This is not what I am doing with my night tonight. And so they
Yep.
go home, and like Louis and Lestat are like fighting, and Lestat's like, you're allowed to go out and be wherever you want with whoever you want. Why are you getting all in my shit? It's not my fucking
Mm-hmm.
fault that you like doing all this trash. Whatever. Like, you don't like to like be my boyfriend and stuff. You're like all weird. You go visit your stupid family. And that's
Mm-hmm.
not, I have to have something for myself too, Louis. And Louis is like, ugh, whatever. I'm going out. I don't even care about you like that.
Yeah, and then
Their fighting is so good.
Louis like, I guess we're just gonna have an open relationship then. If we're both just gonna cheat all the time, like if you're gonna be off
Yep.
with another woman, like
Yep.
we're gonna be open, like
That's it.
whatever. And
That's it.
I feel
And
like no
in
open.
strolls.
That's never how a good open relationship starts, you know.
No, it's not about being vindictive. Y'all have to have a conversation, lay down some
Mm-hmm.
boundaries. But 5 seconds later, this cute brown man walks into a bar, and Louis like, I actually know him from my past life. And Lestat's like,
Mm-hmm.
who that? And Louis like, don't worry about it. Go
Yep.
fucking service your ginger girl, your
Yeah.
good time Sally. Go
And
be
he's
with
like, go
her.
be with your girlfriend. I'm just gonna catch up with my friend who happens to be a boy. Okay,
Old friend.
Lestat?
Okay,
Yeah.
old friend. We know each other going way back.
We've been writing letters for years. I don't know why you're so jealous. Ugh, so
He's
funny.
gonna be in the war. This could be the last time I will see him. Don't you even know? Don't you even understand? He's gonna go die on the front lines. Right?
He
I've
could
got to
die
see him.
tomorrow,
I need to
Lestat.
say my goodbyes. Lestat's like, fine, go. Enjoy yourself. Go have a good fucking time. Louis like, I will. I'll have a great time.
Have you ever seen that Am I the Asshole post where it's like, am I the asshole for being mad at my girlfriend because she slept with her ex-boyfriend because he was dying of cancer and it was his last request?
Oh my god, no.
Same energy, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Especially because like I feel like I'm like out of turn right now, so please correct me if I'm wrong. But the good time girl, the ginger lady, like
Mm-hmm.
she's kind of the stand-in, right? For the prostitutes. Because I know there's a moment
Yeah.
where Lestat and Louis are having a fight, and
Mm-hmm.
Lestat is like, you're gonna have to kill sometime. You're gonna have to fucking do it. This is
Mm-hmm.
who you are. You're a fucking killer. Are you gonna do it or you're not gonna do it?
Mm-hmm.
Hello? Like, and Louis is like,
Yeah.
no. Like, they borrow a line from the book slash movie
Mm-hmm.
of, he says, eat your rats, eat your cats, whatever you need, do it,
Mm-hmm.
but do not doubt. You are a killer, Louis. Like, that line
Mm-hmm.
appears in the book, the movie, and they keep it for this, which I liked very much.
Yeah.
That they have, like, actual whole pieces of writing that they kind of
Mm-hmm.
put in, and that rocks my world. I love that.
Yeah. It's pretty good. So basically, childhood friend Jonah and Louis used to have a fling, and then they go out into the woods and like start having sex
Yo, immediately that dude is like, I missed you.
immediately.
I
Yeah.
heard you've been living with some man, like
Mm-hmm.
just out in the open. And Louis like, oh
Mm-hmm.
no, it's just an arrangement. He's like, yeah,
Yeah.
okay, and like kisses him, and they
Mm-hmm.
get it on. It's great. It happens
Immediately.
right away, and the whole time they're fucking. In my head, I'm going, so you sure you're by yourself? You sure
That's what I was thinking. I was like, well, that's gonna
you're
kill this dude.
alone?
Yeah.
You positive you're not up to anything?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, stats on his date, right? You made
Mm-hmm.
sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay.
Okay. And then Louis has
So
to drink
everything's all
his
right.
own blood to make sure he doesn't drink this dude,
Mm-hmm.
which was wild to me. I was like,
Yep.
"Ooh,
Yep.
interesting,
Yeah.
interesting."
Yeah. To
Okay.
avoid it, but man,
Um. Uh.
there is hell to pay when he gets home.
And then you get home and he flashes and you can see the muddy boots. So I was like, so Lestat was there.
He was absolutely there, dude. Yo,
Mm-hmm.
I've got to tell you, I know that they have to like get the show on the road, but I could have used one more episode of just the two of them having this knockdown drag out fight.
Yep.
Louis is like, you have all your dalliances. You can't tell me I can't go out. And Lestat's like, it's not the same. They mean nothing to me. I'm just out there enjoying my life. How dare you, Louis? You know they mean nothing to me. And Louis like, I don't know that. I know nothing about you. It was nothing. He also meant nothing to me. And Lestat legit goes, and y'all, I am not kidding when I say this. I wrote it down the second it came out of his mouth. This man looks him in the face, eyes blazing hot and with tears in them, and says, I heard your hearts dancing.
Yes. So good.
Yo, the level of poetic that is, I was like, if some man was like, I heard your hearts dancing and was sad that I was with somebody else, I would have to take a minute. Yeah. I'd have to stop for a second and be like, hold on, can we pause this argument real quick? Yeah. That sounds like your feelings got really hurt today. And that wasn't what I meant to do. It sounds like you're really sad, and I apologize. Because like, yo,
that was beautiful.
That's a serious, I heard your hearts dancing. Oh my God. Like, yeah. Lestat is like, be mine, Louis. I just want you. If you liked me more, maybe I wouldn't have other women.
Oh, so good. God.
Yo, that got me. That got me good.
Yep.
Like that's a line that I'm like, would get tattooed across my heart. I heard your hearts dancing. It hurt me. Don't you know how you hurt me? I like that this Lestat is capable of admitting that he's been hurt.
Yeah,
because like
I love this.
Yes, he's so much better than Book Lestat. Oh my God.
Yeah,
like you feel a little bit bad for him.
Yes,
you wouldn't want to hear your boyfriend's heart dancing with someone else. That's horrible.
Literally, he just wants to love Louis.
Oh my gosh,
just wants to be in love.
He just wants their hearts to dance.
All he wants.
Oh.
So we do get a little line though where Louis says he met Jonah years later. So that was nice.
Yes. Still alive.
Yeah. So at least we know he's not dead. This the part where Daniel questions Louis about if it was raining or not, or does that come later during that scene?
Good question. I'm not sure.
Do you remember that happening at all? Okay.
Yeah.
So it's either this episode or the next episode where he's like, was it actually raining? And Louis is like, ooh. I don't know. Which is the first time we kind of talk about him being an unreliable narrator. Yeah. Which I found exciting. Because I was like, ooh.
Me too. Especially because I feel that Louis is still an unreliable narrator overall. Oh, yeah. Like, I feel like there is, and again, I have not gotten to the end of the season, but I very much feel like there is a counterpoint being kind of woven through the story on the back end with Louis and Daniel. So I feel like this is kind of the beginning of that situation. Because Louis is no angel, let's be honest.
Yeah. It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
So like, the alderman, I don't know if I'm jumping ahead, but I know that like the alderman is fucking right off with some ideas that he stole from Louis as to how to expand his empire.
We're not there yet.
Okay, cool.
We first have this scene where Louis goes back to see his family and the kids are terrified of him.
Oh, poor Louis.
His mom thinks he's the devil.
Yeah.
He kicks the door into their house.
Yep.
And basically this is like the time where his entire family is like, do not come back.
Yeah.
This is it. We're done. And then while all that's happening, all of that turmoil, Lestat has decided to throw a party and has the entire army in his house. Like all of the boys.
It's because he heard their hearts dancing.
Yep.
And he wanted to prove to Louis that he was no longer upset and that they could just have a really good time and it doesn't always have to be women.
Yeah.
And then Louis like, what are all these fucking people doing in my house? Get out. Yeah.
Louis get out. I am not out of the house. Yeah, he's like, get everybody out. No.
Get out.
No. And then
I've had enough.
Mind controls every single person in this house
Mm-hmm.
to get them out of the house, and then blood comes out of his ears, and I was like, oh my god, oh my
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
god.
And Louis like, oh, so not infallible.
Yeah,
Like
he's
you
like,
can see the look on his face when it happens. Like,
mm-hmm.
Louis will remember this.
Yep. Yep. So now we're at the point where Louis's businesses are getting shut down and he's
Mm-hmm.
losing his mind.
Yep.
He's like, oh my
And
god, what
it's
the hell?
it's it's all these white people. Something
Mm-hmm.
that I like. Again, we talked about this a little bit before, is that they don't shy away from white people being terrible,
Yep.
historically terrible, and what we're kind of seeing, like it's really fun to talk about the vampire stuff, but like the race stuff that's kind of happening, I feel like it's not as important other than to understand Louis' state of mind and what's
Mm-hmm.
happening and why he feels he needs or doesn't need this stat. So basically the thread that we're getting here across the first like 3 episodes is Louis is a rich business owner. He secures an interracial, like a desegregated brothel
Mm-hmm.
that he runs. There are several white people that are members of council and mayors and aldermen and people that are higher up in society that go to the establishments that he is the proprietor of.
Mm-hmm.
And for some time, he's been kind of playing cards with them, doing deals with them, and things like that to try to afford him, the police looking the other way because it's supposed to be segregated, or
Mm-hmm.
keep trying to make money in different ways that might not be completely above board. So the council comes to him, right? These men that he's been cool with all this time come to him and are like, "Oh, by the way, just wanted to tell you that some shit's about to change. Unfortunately, time's kind of run out and Jim Crow is a thing, and unfortunately, we're gonna have to start, enforcing these things. And there's new gerrymandering and new districts being drawn up. So your business, because you're a black business owner, needs to go somewhere else. You can make do in the French Quarter. You can go somewhere else and put up shop, but you can't be on this street because this street's like the fanciest street in New
Yep.
Orleans, and you're no longer welcome here." And Louis is like, "I'm not moving. Like, I'm not moving. You're not going to shake me down." So eventually, all of those white men who are now jealous of Louis' success, one of whom was kind of defrauded by Lestat because Lestat slowed time and kind
Mm-hmm.
of made the deal with Louis, and then like made the deal IRL, right, with the playing cards. So all of these dudes now are trying to kind of fuck Louis over because they're jealous of what he has, and they're like, no black person should be so rich and should have so much and take from us. So we're going to take from him. So they essentially all turn on him and make it so that his businesses are almost impossible to operate. Um, and I think they burn down the sapphire, right? The azalea.
So right before they do that, first what happens is order events. Louis makes his business for blacks only because the
Yes.
other businesses make it for whites only.
Right.
Then like things start like really hitting the fan. Louis breaks. He fully breaks. He goes, I think, to the alderman and it's like, we're not doing this. This is not the way things are gonna go.
Mm-hmm.
And the
Mm-hmm.
alderman's like, fuck you.
It's too late.
Louis
It's
reads his
already doing it.
mind. Yeah. Louis reads his mind
Mm-hmm.
and basically finds out that like he's being like horribly racist. So
Mm-hmm.
Louis breaks, kills him, hangs up his body, which unfolds this entire event where they light the sapphire on fire. There's like ruin in the streets. Things
Mm-hmm.
are a disaster. Full
Yep.
uprisings happening now.
Yeah. So all the white people basically go to the black part of town and start burning down people's houses and smashing out
Mm-hmm.
windows. And like Louis goes to check on his business and sees all of these black people in pain, screaming, people burning to death. People are just kind of, like you said, pandemonium. And that was something that like I didn't love. I feel like they could have been a little bit more sensitive to
Yeah.
this and made it less like, because what it feels like is Louis fought back against injustice, and the people who had to pay for his sins were the black people in that town, right? So it's kind of that kindred paradox where black people are in peril because of something a black person did, right? Which
Yeah.
I don't love that trope at all. But at the same time, this one you can directly trace back to the shenanigans that white people were kind of putting him into. So it
Yeah.
does make sense, but like he takes it really hard. Like he takes it super hard and is like, "This is my fault. I did this." You see him stumbling around in the streets trying to help people, trying to save people. The people
Yeah.
are incoherent. They have no way of communicating with him. They're like so overwhelmed and so scared. And it's very shocking and very sad.
I'm happy that something finally pushed Louis to that breaking point. So I'm not
Mm-hmm.
really mad about how this went along because
Mm-hmm.
he was being way too like considerate of like these people being awful to him. And I'm glad he was just kind of like, you know what, fuck it. I'm a vampire, I can live forever. Whatever.
that's
Beautiful.
that's that's part of my problem with it, right? Is that he's going to live forever, he's going to be fine. In that
Yeah.
moment, he just kind of lashes out. He doesn't think about who's going
Yeah.
to pay the price for that, right? It doesn't occur to him that he's not the one who's going to be paying. It's his
Yeah.
people that are going to be paying, right? And like, to me, that's part of the reason that I'm able to kind of let it go, is because that's
Mm-hmm.
genuinely my experience, right? I'm in
Mm-hmm.
I'm in an experience right now, and I've been in experiences before where
Mm-hmm.
something a white person is doing is fucking me up, right?
Yep.
And I'm like, okay, well, I can either make a stink and tell everybody and their mom that what this
Mm-hmm.
person is doing is upsetting me and messing me up, and that what they're doing is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But in doing so, I can A, look like I'm difficult to work with, B, look
Mm-hmm.
like I'm inflexible, C, look like I'm loud, D, look like
Mm-hmm.
I'm, opinionated, right? This long list of things that people already assume because I'm black, right? They
Mm-hmm.
already make these assumptions about me because of the color of my skin and the texture of my hair and the features on my face, right? They're
Yeah.
already going to make those judgments. So there's a lot of patience that black people have to exercise to exist in America, right? Tons
Mm-hmm.
of patience. There's a lot of time that we need to think about what we're going to do before we do something rash, right?
Mm-hmm.
A friend of mine was working with me at this place that I used to work, and there was a higher up, a white guy that I knew was not racist, so to speak.
Yeah.
Um,
Well,
and
totally
he cut
not
my friend
racist.
off, right? Like, not racist.
Mhm.
So he cut this person off, this black man that I was working with. He cut him off coming off of the highway and almost got into a horrible car accident. And the guy had just had a baby, so he was
Mhm.
really like on edge. And
Yeah.
so they pull into the parking lot of the office,
Mhm.
and he gets out and he goes, "Hey man, you almost like knocked me off the road. Like, you almost made me crash my car. What is up?
Yeah.
Like, please watch where you're going." Not
Mhm.
realizing this guy is a higher up, right? Which, I mean, honestly shouldn't have mattered, but like,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So he says this, completely reasonable to the man. The man calls him the N word, and he goes, "Say that to me again, I'll fucking end you," or something like that, right? He
Yeah.
says something that's like threatening. That dude lost his job. It's not appropriate for a higher up in a company to call an
Yeah.
employee the N word, right?
Yeah.
But like, it didn't matter. The guy ultimately said that he felt like this guy had threatened to kill him, and that that's not okay because he's violent. You see what I'm saying? So like, that guy
Mhm.
didn't think. He made a snap decision to be like, "Please watch
Yeah.
where you're going." All he asked for was an acknowledgement of the fact that this guy did wrong. And when he said something that was completely uncalled for, right? The answer from HR was, "Well, you shouldn't have done anything."
Mhm.
Or, "Well, you should have, brought it to our attention and let us deal with it," right? Like, exercise caution. Same thing with the police, right? When a black
Mhm.
person, when anything happens with the police, and a black person gets shot by the cops, the first thing someone says isn't, "Well, why did they shoot? Why did they shoot this person?"
Mhm.
Right? What was he armed? Was he pointing the weapon at them? What was it? Like, what happened? Right? How did
Mhm.
they feel unsafe? The first question is, well, did he comply?
Yeah.
Right? Like, did he exercise caution? Did he take a moment? Did he think
Mhm.
about it? Did he take that time? So it's like, it reflects the experience of black Americans, even to this day. Like, I can't make snap decisions. I can't
Yeah.
react in the moment, right? This situation that I'm having right now, like, it's been dogging me for weeks, right? And I've got
Yeah.
to really think about how I'm going to go about it, because if I make an accusation, no matter how true it is, somebody can easily knock it aside and be like, "Well, they're being really, rash, or they're being really abrasive, or, she's being difficult." You know what I'm saying? Like, people
Yeah.
can easily say that, and then I have something to lose, rather than that white person facing what's coming to them for being a shithead, right?
Yeah.
So I do like that he finally gets to a breaking point. Because like, that was a note that I had too, is like, yo, if
Mhm.
there were black vampires in racist fucking 20s America, everybody would be dead.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, you're still bound by rules, right? You're still bound
Mhm.
by, the realities of the world around you.
I
And
think
like,
sorry.
we black people have this, this stereotype laid upon us that we're violent,
Mhm.
even though we were slaves for 400 years in this country and didn't murder everybody, right?
Mhm.
Like, could we have probably murdered all of the slave owners? I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
There were so many more of us than there were of them, right? Could we have
Mhm.
gone fucking buck wild and like wrecked people? Yeah, but like the people that they unfortunately kidnapped from Africa weren't the violent ones, right? They were
Mhm.
people who were afraid, who just wanted to live their lives, who wanted to try to escape and have a family and like set up shop. Like they were people just like them, right?
Mhm.
That's the moral of the story: is you imprison people who were basically just like you but a different color, and that's why they didn't murder you in your fucking bed, right?
Yeah.
Because they weren't violent people, and yet 250 years after the end of slavery, people still clutch their purse if I'm in an elevator with them by myself.
Mhm.
Somebody called the police on me for pumping gas one day. Like, how did we even get the stereotype that we're violent when there were very few uprisings when we were enslaved, right? Like people
Yeah.
they tried, right? A lot of them were stamped out before they could really hurt too many people, right? Some people did try, like Nat Turner led one of the biggest and bloodiest rebellions out there, right? Like
Mhm.
in his time. So like, I think that this does do a good job of kind of pointing to this kind of carefulness that black people have to have and used
Yeah.
to have even more so back in the day, because if you offend white people, sometimes there's hell to pay. Colin Kaepernick still doesn't have a team to play for, and all he did was kneel. So you know what I mean? Like I totally get like where Louis is coming from, and like I have to say too, when he sees that burning building, and he hears that little voice, and he hears that heartbeat, right, and he jumps
Mhm.
through the fire to save someone. Like, I hate that it had to come born out of such misery, right?
Mhm.
Obviously, the original birth of Claudia was out of misery as well. She was, her mom died. She was about to die. She was laying there in filth and sickness, right? Like, it's sad.
Mhm.
But, like, this gives me a greater tie between those two characters because he feels responsible for her death and responsible for her life, and then
Mhm.
responsible for her unlife
Yeah.
as well. Which I love the depth that they've kind of added to this character, to both characters,
Mhm.
as well as their relationship.
Yeah. I will say, just as a note, I think the reason that this appeals to me, him snapping and making this rash decision, is
Mm-hmm.
because, like, kind of what you were talking about, whereas, like, in the current day, there's so many consequences
Mm-hmm.
to our actions. If,
Yeah.
like, a white dude's being a little sus, you can't just yell at him because then you get murdered.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Especially in
it
Florida.
yeah, it's really
Mm-hmm.
appealing to me when someone breaks in fiction,
Yeah.
like especially when a woman breaks in fiction and just goes on a
Yeah.
murderous rampage. I'm like, "Yes, girl. I see
Yeah.
you.
Like Gone Girl.
Queen
I'm like,
energy."
do it, bitch.
Yeah, like and like that kind of stuff just appeals to me so well because it's like that you have to bite your tongue so
Mm-hmm.
much just to survive right now.
Yeah.
And it's like
Yep.
I just if I could break, like if I could break and just say exactly what I'm thinking right now, like
Mm-hmm.
none of you would survive.
Yeah.
Like
I agree. I agree. Like
yeah.
in the living vicariously
Mhm.
section of this, absolutely. I totally agree.
Mhm.
And like, I'm surprised it took so long, to be honest with you.
Yes.
Because like he didn't have a lot of control coming
Mhm.
out of his death, right? Like I'm surprised it took so long. I'm glad that it took long so that we had
Mhm.
some time to really get to know him as a character and make sure that he didn't just
Yeah.
get straight up caught, because there were a couple times that he looked like he might.
Mhm.
But yeah, I totally hear what you're saying. I agree with you on that one. Like,
Yeah. But yeah, no, I think I just liked it for that aspect. And like
hmm
the Claudia in the burning building.
man,
Oh,
it
it's
hurt me. It got
yeah.
me right in my feels.
I do like this change more so than like 12-year-old Claudia just hanging next to a dead body. You know what I mean?
Yeah, agree, agree, much better. They continue to age her up as well. She's 16, I think, now in this.
Yeah, which
So they
I'm
continue
fine
to kind
with.
of, me too, because it's weird having 5-year-old Claudia. Still not over it. Did not realize that when I read it as a child. Didn't
Yeah.
understand the implications of it. Now that I'm older, I'm like, ew,
Yeah, I'm
I
like,
don't like her.
ugh,
Um,
gross.
yeah, like I like that he feels beholden to her. He feels
Mhm.
responsible, obligated to her,
Mhm.
and I think that that's especially because it happened without Lestat this time, right? That's another thing that I think is really an interesting kind of severance and separation.
We end with like Claudia in the burning building. So basically, Louis sees Claudia in this burning building, like opens the door. She's like coughing. He's like, "Oh my god!" End. Black
Yes.
screen.
Okay. Yeah.
Credits roll.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
really great.
Really? We're just gonna end there? We're ending there.
Yes, because they're like,
Oh,
watch the next episode, which I then
yeah.
did.
So good.
I
Like
think too, like when you have this whole scene that's happening, like it's breakneck speed. Like the whole end of the episode feels like a fucking freight train compared to the beginning, right? Like so much stuff happens at the beginning of this episode, and you're like, how long is this episode? It feels like it's a full movie, but it's really just like 53 minutes. Like it's a regular length episode, but it just goes breakneck speed. The second that he gets in front of the alderman, it's like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah. I could have done without him looking the alderman in the face and going, I'm a vampire. I could have done without that.
That's fair.
That was one thing that I was just like, A-.
Yeah, I was like, you know what? We'll workshop your line later.
You need a catchphrase, buddy. You need a catchphrase. That's not it. Okay?
I get it. You're seeing red. You don't know what to say. It happens to the best of us. However, we got a couple more years of this going on, so I think you're gonna need to like sit down, come up with a fancy one-liner, be like, I am death. I don't know. Something like that.
That would have been way better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you imagine like Louis later on that night, like laying in his coffin, just awake, like, I am a vampire? Why'd you say that, you idiot? Of course you're a vampire. You need a better line. Now I'm not gonna sleep. I'm just gonna think about what I should have said all night. Damn it. So stupid.
Yep. He's like writing notes. I am vampire. No, cross that out. Cross that out. Just throw it in the garbage. Actually. Never mind. I am death. Maybe we'll put it on the backboard. Okay. I am God now. No, a little
that
too
seems
much.
a little grandiose.
Yeah, a little grandiose.
I'm not. Who am I, Lestat?
Yeah. He's like, oh, it's his coffin. Lestat. Hey, are you still awake? Hey, I'm just like,
what would you write if it were you?
Yeah, what would you say like right before you kill somebody?
You're gonna give me the choice that you never had? Oh, that is pretty catchy.
That is pretty good.
All right.
Good. Yeah, I don't know. I want like a little something darker. I don't know. Like something to do with death. Something about like, this is the sword I wield. I don't know. Something.
I am the knight. That sounds like somebody else does that one though. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Maybe not.
Can we put on some Buffy? Maybe I think she's got some good one-liners. I just need to workshop this. Yeah,
I need inspo. Open up Pinterest,
babe.
Someone's done something.
Can you start making a little list for me? Like anytime I say a good one-liner, can you just like write it in your little phone notes app and then send it to me later?
Notes app. Yeah. Poor Louie. He'll get there.
Yeah, he'll figure something.
Now
out.
He's rich enough to pay somebody to come up with a one-liner for him. So,
in search of copywriter. I need a tagline. Serial killer
must have
tagline.
Experience in gothic behavior, darkness, reading too many vampire novels, and taking them too seriously. Me and
Must
Rachel
have
are like,
experience of must be able to quote Buffy line per line.
Two resumes. Rachel and Candace. Hi.
There you go. Hi.
We work really well together as well. If you need, a team, we can do it.
Yep.
Affordable rates. Just, eternal life. It's fine.
It's fine.
Maybe, make our partners also eternal life. Cats as well.
Yep.
Low price of like
free 99
undead. Okay. Just a low price.
Low price. I
20 people max undead. 20 people max.
I wouldn't mind the offer of getting to live in your mansion rent free. I'll
take the room that has the cool tree in it for no reason. I'll take that room.
Yeah, actually that's great. Like your little penthouse suite in Dubai. Like I've always wanted to go to Dubai,
Why not?
Why not? Do I get to drive a Lamborghini? Okay, yeah. Actually, it's a blacked out Lamborghini? Okay, yeah. No,
we can work it out.
Yeah.
We can work this out. Trust. All right, we can do it.
I've already got an eye condition that doesn't let me go outside, so
there you go. No more squinting. No more wrinkles. Done.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm gonna save a fortune on eye cream. It's gonna be great.
My sunscreen budget is now gone, so whatever. Like I'm gonna save so much money.
Let's do it. I already signed the paperwork and sent it to you.
Yeah.
Oh, you didn't send me paperwork. I downloaded it off the internet.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
I found
got a W-9 in there too in case you need it.
Yeah, there you go. Oh, you want me to be a
Oh my god.
contract employee? No problem. Can
I don't
do.
care.
Yeah. Oh my
A
god.
plus. A plus. Oh man.
This show's so good. It's
It
so
really is. Now I'm like, when's season 2 coming out?
literally. I did Google and
Give
they
me more.
are confirmed for season 2. Thank
Nice.
God.
Yeah, that's great. Because wow, I'm very impressed.
Yeah.
And it's
Ugh.
something that I think everybody can kind of get their head around because my mom read the book, my dad didn't. And my dad
Mhm.
is not really a vampires guy. Like, he's like, whatever about vampires. He likes monster movies and stuff, but he's not like,
Mhm.
I've got to watch every vampire movie. He's not that person. My mom is. And
Mhm.
both of them really enjoyed the series. Like, they watched it when it was on TV, like when it was airing.
Mhm.
Um, and they were like, "Oh, it's really good." So I told them when I told them we were going to start reviewing it, they were like, "Oh, it's really great. You're going to have a great time." And I was like, "Why is my dad watching the show?" It's because my mom wanted to watch it. It's
Oh
her
yeah.
turn to pick. And then they just powered through all of the episodes, which I understand because they're really good.
Yep. Yeah, it was a very, very good watch. Highly,
Mm-hmm.
highly recommend. I think everyone
Yeah,
will enjoy it.
yeah.
But that is all we have for today's episode. Next week, we will be continuing on with episode 4. So, Candace, where can the people of the internet find you and the things you do?
You can find me at that Candace Girl over on Twitter, Candace, or at Candace Magnificent on YouTube, Twitch, and Instagram. I am a TTRPG performer and GM. You can also find me doing some streams, some solo streams of video games, Legos, and concerts, ukulele concerts on my channel. So definitely check me out on Twitter. You'll be able to find posts for when I'm going to go live if you're interested in seeing me elsewhere. Also, shout out to the narrative podcast, Bookhound Bounty Hunters, over on 12 Sided Stories. You can also hear me there as Leo De Silva, a mercenary who is hungry for justice and works for the library, getting books back by any means.
Yeah. So, check out all the things, and we will see you all right here next week. Bye.
Bye.